We got all three of us on here.
We got all three?
We
got all three, baby.
We got all three.
See me?
Yeah,
Holy
Jeremy's
Christmas.
just a little more. He's just a little smaller box over in the right here, but I can still see the germ. And
Okay.
yes, I see
I'm the
his
smaller
bald head
box.
and
Can you see
glasses
me?
as well.
Can you see me?
Yeah, back up. Oh, Lordy.
Dan, let's settle the debate once and for all.
Yes, I was the best runner.
Not where I was going.
Oh, sorry.
Super shoes. Give us your hot take.
Oh,
Super
Jesus.
shoes. All right, so I've been catching up on your all's little podcast. Been kind of binging it, if you will. Super shoes, I don't think it's a thing.
Bingo.
It's the person. It's the person. The
Damn
shoes aren't Germ.
Brad,
It's the person.
Listen, Brad's already claiming he can go out and run 2:30 right now with the shoes.
That's because you don't even need to run, Dan. It's you put on the shoes; they're so amazing.
And they just take off on their own.
Have
That's
you
right.
put on super shoes, Dan Barry?
Every day I do.
Oh, see.
How do you think I get through my days? No, because they're my shoes. They're super.
Jeez.
Mama called him my special shoes.
My back's as crooked as a question mark.
So you legit think that super shoes don't have an impact?
Okay, they have a slight impact. Just like if you're going out with if you're going out in flats, it's not going to help you out a little bit on a longer distance race. You know what I mean? Like that helps you in those shorter races because it's less weight that you're carrying around. Yeah. But no, I don't, so it does help you. Does it help you like insane amount? Nah, I don't think so.
So what do you think you would have run? Let's go through a little bit of your running history.
Okay.
When'd you start running?
Got to get some water.
Oh boy.
So I started running my sophomore year of high school. I transferred from Cardinal Newman to Pope in Boca Raton, and it was just a way to get to know people at a new high school. Because I was more into soccer and stuff, but I was like, all right, I'll do this to train for soccer, and then found out I was pretty decent at it, and kind of took it and ran, literally, and kind of the way I ended up meeting you two clowns was
you had quite a good high school career though.
Yeah, it was decent. I mean, like I said, my sophomore year, it was at the state meet. I was, speaking on, it's sometimes better to run dumb. I just ran and competed against people. I had no idea what times I was running. I didn't really care. I just knew I wanted to be, as far up in front as I possibly could. And I think it wasn't until my sophomore year in track, where my track team had the opportunity to possibly win the state meet. And my coach said, I was running the 3,200 there. I ran the 4x8 earlier. We placed, if I can remember right, I think we placed second or third that year, my sophomore year. I ran like a 2:02 split. And then in the 3,200, my coach at the time in high school said, if you win this, we got a chance of winning the state title. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm just an idiot. I'm like a sophomore high school kid. I was, oh, okay. So I went and ran, no clue what I just did. I won the state meet in the 3,200, and I think I ran a 9:52. Nothing like spectacular, but like I said, I didn't really care about times. I was just trying to race to win. So that was my first state title.
Sub 10 as a sophomore is pretty good.
Yeah, it didn't get much better after that though.
And you
my best was 9:42 in high school. Yeah, my junior year we won the 4x8. I ran a 156 split, I think, in that year, but we won the 4x8 my junior year. I placed second in the 3,200 that year, and that's when I ran a 9:42 that year. And then senior year, I decided I wanted to run 4x8, 1,600, and 3,200 because I was trying to get the team MVP, which means most points scored. That's how my coach always did it. Whoever earned the most points throughout the school year or throughout the season end up being the MVP, and I wanted to be the MVP. So I did 4x8, 16, 32 every meet. And I ended up qualifying for all those at the state meet. And we placed third in the 4x8. I got second by like a fingernail in the 1600, ran a 419. And after that, while they're calling my name to come get my second place medal, I was over there up chucking in the middle of Ben Hill Griffin Stadium while they're calling my name, Danbury for second place. And I'm over there just puking up. I think I had a club sandwich earlier that day. It was not a good idea.
Nice.
But, and then placed kind of lollygag through a 3200 where I was just feeling like I was going to continue to puke through that, but I placed third there. So it was pretty decent.
And then we met as you came to Winthrop.
Yeah. So
to run.
It was my senior year. We went up there and ran the Great American, it was the Foot Locker up there at McAlpine. We were driving around and there was a sign, Winthrop University. I was looking for schools and we pulled on in. And actually one of our teammates driving around at empty campus, obviously. Here comes out of Richmond, Ashley Ackerman going on his run. And my dad, who just kind of doesn't care, puts down the window. Here I am in the back of high school. He's, don't do anything. What do you do? Just let him go. He's like, hey, where's the stadium at? He's like, Ashley, trying to, marketing, all, pulling himself out of that, kind of start talking. 4-to-1 ratio, girls to guys. But we ended up finding Ben Paxton, our coach, and then everything kind of went from there. He started reaching out and recruiting me. Went on a recruiting trip up there, met you clowns. And actually, you were my host, Brad, if you remember.
I don't. You know what? I do remember. We spent your entire money, your recruiting money, and then we had to fake receipts, like we were just finding any substation receipts we could possibly find.
I think every one of them was like, "Oh, Charlie's."
Yeah.
Everyone had a loaded baked potato.
And then turned in said receipts to an absolute just hellscape from Ben Paxton, who was quite upset with our spending spree.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way you ate 4 meals at O'Charlie's.
Not getting past him on that one. He knew the shenanigans that were taking place, that's for sure. He knew the shenanigans. But that pretty much hook, line, and sinker right there. It was like hanging out with you guys at the recruiting trip. I was like, these guys are awesome. Little did I know it was just all a big show.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Come to find out, we're a bunch of losers.
Look at us.
Here we are.
So you're coaching high school now.
Yep, coaching high school. Actually, just moved to a new high school, brand new high school, representing. There you go. Had to wear the gear. Bulldogs.
Nice.
The school itself is brand new.
School itself is brand new. Just opened. So I was at Park Vista for 14 years, coaching cross country and track there. And then this opportunity came up, and it's a little bit closer to home, which helps. And I thought it'd be interesting to see what it looks like to kind of start a program. So here I am.
So what are the challenges of starting a program? Park Vista had an established program. Like they had a pretty long history of having the program there. What are the challenges of moving from an established program to starting up something brand new?
Still learning it, but I think day one was trying to get kids out, just trying to let them know there is a cross-country team. Because, cross-country is not a normal sport. Like everyone goes and plays basketball or soccer or whatever, baseball. Down here, anyways, it's very minimal in middle schools. So it's not well known. Like you're not going to middle school meets or things like that. But it was just trying to get that out. Like, hey, cross country is available. Like, come on out. Let's give it a try. And a lot of people, I mean, maybe you guys are the same way. You see cross country, you think 3.1 miles. You're like, shit, I'm not doing that. I'm not going out there just to run for fun kind of deal. So I think that was the
How many kids
immediate.
did you pick?
So actually, it ended up working out really well. So first meet, I remember first meet. So just to give you a little background with the new high school, some of the kids were coming from Park Vista that I had actually taught and things like that. So I teach a freshman class, physical science, and there was a couple that I heard within my classes that said that they were moving to the new high school. They didn't run cross country at Park Vista. Sometimes I try to rope them in and recruit them in that way. But so I gave them the information. I was like, hey, I'll be coaching over there. I'll be going. So the first day we had 2 kids come out. One of which was one I had taught. Yeah. One of which was one I had taught at Park Vista. She just came out and she was looking to try to get involved. And she was one that was, to be honest, was borderline which direction was going to go as a human. You know what I mean? Like drugs were pulling her one way, or, you know, people that were doing negative things. So this kind of gave her a positive direction. And then the other one was a freshman coming in that got the information that we had posted on Google Classroom in the with the school website and all that. So we had 2 kids the first day, and that was like, to me, I was like, what did I just do? Here I am coming from Park Vista, where we average 50 kids a season for cross country. And I'm like, crap, we got 2.
You're a long way from scoring actually in a meet.
Yeah, very, very long. Very long way. We may not even enter anybody. Let's just say that. But the first practice, so we, you know, new to all this and just got the kids together. I was like, all right, so what have you been doing all summer? And this is about 3 weeks prior to the first day of school, just to give you an idea where we were. And they're like, nothing. I was like, oh, all right. Well, we're going to start. We don't have a track yet. The track was still being worked on. The school is still under construction. So we had the parking lot. So I was like, all right, we're going to. Actually a little better, but so we started with literally doing a lap around the parking lot as a warm-up, and I kid you not, both of them were struggle-licious to finish a lap around the parking lot. And I was like, oh my God, what have I just done to myself? What are we doing here? So the first day was literally them doing a lap warm-up, going through dynamics, doing another lap warm up around, going through dynamics again, and that was it. That was day 1. So they may have gotten a total of a mile of running in. I mean, after the dynamics, like you guys know, like I pretty much do a lot of the same similar stuff that we did in college. I mean,
sure.
you're moving, but it was like they were struggling to get through it, and I was like, oh my. I remember after that first practice, I was talking to my assistant coach, who actually I coached in high school, when he was in high school. And I was just like, what did we do to ourselves? What did we do? I'm seeing what the other kids are doing at Park Vista. They're running 6 to 8 miles right now. And we got kids that were just trying to get through warm up.
So you're coming up to the end of the season. How many kids are on the team now?
All right, so it quickly went from 2 kids to after the first week of school, we ended up with 24, which was awesome.
Dang, dude.
Yeah, so quickly word got out. They heard that there was an unbelievable, amazing coach that was coaching.
Oh boy.
Them. Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. So no, my assistant is great. That's who they're talking about. So they start coming out, but I tell you, it's been a grind. One, trying to, taper my views of them. Like, hey, here's, like, you guys been talking about it. Goals. Sometimes you gotta adjust your goals. Goals at Park Vista. We're going to state championship. We're going to go in the state meet. We were going to try to finish top 10 as a team or whatever. Here it's like, hey, let's just field a team that can complete a 5K. You know what I mean? So
wow,
they started doing it, and we ended up with, like I said, 24 kids. And actually, this last weekend we had districts where the girls team placed 9th, and top 8 would have moved on to regionals.
Wow.
And the boys team placed 10th. But we have 2 individuals going, one freshman girl and one junior boy that are going to be advancing to regionals as individuals. So
That's
pretty
great,
cool.
man.
Yeah, there's been a lot of significant improvements throughout. Like one kid came from a high school. He ran cross country at John I. He was 37 minutes was his PR. He finished this year with 24-minute PR, or 24 minutes
Wow.
being his PR. So significant improvement.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
So
as you're building a brand new program, do you have an idea what's more important? Is it having having talent is always it's beneficial in any sport. So, but is it more important to have groom a culture where you're consistently getting, a number of kids out every year? You've got a culture that every year people are showing up, they want to be a part of the program, and then the talent just kind of falls in there, or or just hope that you get a couple of talented kids come out to carry the team.
I'm all about the camaraderie and like them coming out and being a part of it. Like, I never turn kids away. I don't do any cuts. If if they find out it's not for them, then they kind of cut themselves, if you will. They're like, all right, this running thing's not for me. Hey, you gave it a try. I'm not going to turn you away. But I'd rather have the camaraderie, the team atmosphere of it. And if you filter in there some talented kids, then that's an addition. You know what I mean? But they got to be willing to be committed. That's our biggest thing is this is your team. You got to be committed to this. You can't be just, all right, this isn't a club. We're not, I'm coming when I want. No, you're in, you're in. That kind of deal. You know what I'm saying?
Love it.
Yeah.
So,
Jeremy, you got any other questions?
Oh, I forgot. What are the questions I told you I was going to ask?
All right.
This sounds about right. This is where it falls apart when it goes to the germ.
Let me
Go
continue
off
the
script,
interview,
germ.
Dan.
Read the script.
Wait, hold on, man.
Here, so Kira,
I'm Ron
honestly,
Burgundy.
Kira had a question for you. She said,
awesome.
how with dealing with kids that have higher performance goals, how do you prevent burnout and then manage those kids with performance goals?
Okay. So great question, Kira. Great question. I'm glad that, you're in there. Great question. So the way we set it up, and I base a lot of mine off of probably more so like the Jack Daniels with the B dot. And it's based off your performance. Okay. So you're in group 1, 2, 3. Group 1 is going to be our top group. You're going to be going on longer runs. And majority of our training is long, easy with one quality day in there and then your race day. So last year I had a young lady who was struggling, and it always seems, unfortunately it is girls and it's hard to talk to them about it when they come in freshmen, they're light. They haven't gone through any of that. They sometimes set their PRs that they'll never touch again. And it's just trying to keep them, in my opinion, trying to keep them not focused on time goals, not focused on the outcome, but the path that you're taking, what you're doing each day. It is benefiting you. You may not see it, but it is benefiting you. You know what I mean? It is a challenge to keep them motivated, but I think that if you're in cross country, you're already self-motivated because you're there, you're committed to something that, is a challenge and tough, but it's about just trying to keep them motivated. Does that answer that question a little bit?
Yeah. So how do you prevent burnout with the kids?
Oh, so I try to do it. What we do is I give them each a Google sheet. All right. So when they do their runs that day, they put in, all right, let's just say we did a 6-mile run that day. What sort of run was it? 6 miles, easy run. And then on the side, how'd they feel that day? And then I kind of go and I filter through, especially at night, not to diminish the backside of it or our group 4 or 5 runners, but I look at our group 1 runners and I kind of read through, all right, they weren't saying it, but they were struggling, and they put it in here, that sheet that they were struggling. So then I kind of, when next practice, if everybody else in there is going for 6 miles, I'll tell them they're going for 4. You know what I mean? So I try to take it back off them a little bit. With the burnout part, I've had to take kids and tell them that not to show up for a week. Do you know what I mean? I've had to tell them not to show up for a week. Just, hey, take a back seat. Like maybe in a meet, they struggled to an extent that they were like 3 minutes off their PR. You could just see that they were demoralized. Um, you can come to practice, but you're not running. You know what I mean? We're going to find enjoyment in this.
So do you find that burnout is both physical and mental? Is it more mental than physical? Like, do you see any correlation or some, like my personal opinion? I typically find the majority of runners aren't burning out because they're running too much. Like they might get tired of the monotony of running the same thing every day, or they're going to have a week where they're just kind of, like you said, that they're tired physically. So whether they've got like a flu or whatever's going on in their personal life. But I typically find that burnout is more mental stress. So, and it's typically like an internalized mental stress that they show up every single day. They're putting this giant internal pressure on them that they have to perform in practice. Then they get to the meet, they're ridden with anxiety, and they say, well, like, I have to be at my, like, you see a lot of people that are expecting miracles on race day as opposed to showing up for a race day and just saying, as long as I do the same thing that I've been doing in practice for the last 3 months, like, there's no miracle on race day. It's just going to, whatever you run is what you run.
It's what's going to happen. So I guess in that regards, and this is, I mean, we're talking high school kids that, you know, maybe boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with them that day and the end of the world is there, you know? So it's a challenge. I think majority of it is not so much physical because they're young kids. You know, they bounce back relatively pretty quickly from a lot of things, quicker than maybe they even realize. So it's a lot of that mental. Again, going to a former athlete that she just wasn't hitting anywhere close to her PRs, and it wasn't showing in practice. You're not doing it in practice. It's not going to, like you just said, magically happen. We got to keep working there. But if you have this outcome oriented mind of I need to be up with that runner, or I need, like, that's where I'm supposed to be. And if you're not there, you're crushing yourself mentally, you know? So instead of just taking it like, hey, we're early season or mid season, like just do the best you can today. That's all you can handle. Do the best you can today. If you give your best today, then you should be, you know, happy with your results, whatever they are, you know?
You know, it's funny that you say that. I see this a lot with Kira's team, that there's a perceived pecking order.
Mm-hmm.
And I even see it with Kira. Then when she's out of place of that pecking order, like it's immediate. It's snap of your fingers. It's not a fitness thing. It's just like this mental anxiety in the middle of the race that I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and it becomes panic mode. So when instead of just like saying, all right, let's relax, and you know, like if they were just going out for a 6-mile run, no one would panic. So, but in the race, they feel like once you're out of place, you know, like I'm immediately going backwards. Like you see the tense and like everything tightens up in their shoulders. It's just like panic mode across their face.
Yeah, and you got to think in their heads, all they're thinking is like, why am I so far behind? Why am I not up with them? They're getting all these whys or all these negative impact on themselves. And before you know it, the race is already over and they haven't even had a chance to kind of regroup. Like you said, kind of almost take a deep breath and be like, let's reevaluate. What can I do from here?
Do you find that opposite happens for a kid who is out of place but ahead of where they should be? Do they self-sabotage, like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here? Then they're like purposefully like slowing themselves down, or like
100%, 100%. And I hate it. That's why sometimes it's better to run dumb, not even know what you're doing, just going out there and competing. Because I can't, that's another really, that's probably harder to deal with than the other side of it, you know?
Oh, really?
The other side of it, I think, because I think the other side, a lot of them will, if you kind of keep on pushing more of that positive influence on them and be positive with them, it gradually, they can climb out of it. Not that they're going to always, but again, they're going to have an opportunity to climb out of it. Where on the other side, they're hindering themselves because they're just like, oh, they're a senior, or they're known to be the best runner. So I shouldn't be anywhere near this. Where practices and everything else, you're showing that you should be dominating this guy, you know?
It's interesting. You see this statewide that like every state will have one absolute stud.
Oh, yeah.
So when I was growing up, it was a guy named Rob Evans. In Kira's world here of late, it was a girl named oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank of her name. Anyway, she runs on Oregon now. She's like the number 4 runner on Oregon's team as a freshman.
Mhm.
So she was, like a Nike Nationals qualifier, All-American high school, broke every state record. And it was expected when she showed up to the races, or when I was in high school, when Rob Evans was there, like everybody paced off of him. And so he ran, I think his senior year, which was my junior year, he won states with like 4:17.
Okay.
Which was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
The next year, just to get out of every single region, you couldn't get out of the region without running 4:15.
Yeah.
So, and I think state was one sub 4:10. It was like as soon as he was gone, boom, like the pecking order opened up. And I see this, it seems like I'm seeing it again now with the kids now, that there's one person that dominates, whether it's their sophomore, junior year, or there's just an expectation that that's the best runner. And maybe one kid will kind of challenge it. Maybe they get put in their place. But the majority of people, there's like an expected pecking order, basically from 1 to 50.
Yeah, that's where they're at. I'm supposed to be here. Yeah. And then, like you just said, it was a great example. Was once that person, that lead dog, the apex leaves, now it's wide open. All right, let's see who's going to take over that role.
Well,
then you see a lot of massive PRs probably too.
Well, I think you see a lot of times then when there's then no like set number 2 person in the state, that everybody's just like, well, why shouldn't it be me?
It's my chance.
Why shouldn't it be? And then like the competition just brings out the best of everybody. And typically you see these giant jumps from what wins state one year to the next.
Yeah, because it's like the Bannister thing. Break 4 minutes, then everybody's breaking 4 minutes.
And I got to admit, it gets kind of old. I mean, you would think just acknowledge the fact that you broke 4. You don't need to rush out and beat the world record. Just write again. It seems stupid. You knew it was coming, Jeremy.
As soon as he said Roger's face, I was like, "Yep." As soon as he said it, look, I've got a kid on my team. A good sophomore boy for us. He ran sub 450 for us, which is uncalled for. Most kids don't even come close to breaking 5. But he gets so wrapped up in the pecking order. He's like, "Oh, this kid's in the race. Oh, I can't do that." I'm like, "Dude, just go and race.
Yeah.
Go and have fun." And then I have a girl who has no idea what she's doing at all. Like she runs at 10 miles a week, and she's run 5:20, like on the nose.
Wow.
Like just goes out and dominates, and she just doesn't care who's in the race. She's going out there to race, and I just find that like running dumb is the best way. Just go out and race, and then you don't burn out because then you don't have the expectations. You're just out there to see what you can do against other people during that day.
And you start overthinking, and Paxton, one of the great things I think Paxton did sometimes is he took that watch and he threw it to the ground. You don't need the watch. Run off how you're feeling a little.
Sometimes he wouldn't throw it to the ground. He'd throw it into the woods 100 yards away.
Yeah. And then, thank God it wasn't an Apple Watch at the time or GPS. My God, he might have gotten a bill from some of our parents for those things. Jesus.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine
while he's riding. Exactly. While he's riding along in his little Isuzu. Yeah, 605. Pick it up a little bit, boys. But I had a kid. So on that though, I got a good one with that because I had a kid his junior year. I'm trying to remember what times he ran, but it was like 1620s. I want to say 1630s, maybe something like that. And his senior year, he had goals. He wanted to get better, but there was a kid at another school that everyone said, "Oh, he's the best, can't be touched." And him and I, the kid I'm speaking on, I was like, it's in you that you should be beating this guy. Like you need to start challenging yourself, run with him. challenge stuff. Next thing you know, at the regional meet, we came up with a nice game plan. He had been challenging him, and he kind of was doubting himself. I can't beat him. I'm not gonna. He's got a great kick, all this stuff, and that's true. He did a really good kick, but he wasn't as strong. Came up with a whole game plan. He won the region by almost 200 meters and ran a 15:45, leaving the guy behind him But he finally came to a realization of like, I can beat him. You know what I mean? It was just kind of putting it in play. And he actually had a really, really good senior year. He ended up getting ninth in the state meet in the 1600, running a 4:21. And, and so to give you how close it was, he ran a 4:21, got ninth, and the first place guy ran a 4:18. So that's how like jam packed they were. Just crazy. So
you couldn't have picked it up like 2 seconds.
I told him, dude, you went all this way and you didn't even medal.
Yeah.
like, God.
You got me by 2 seconds. You couldn't even pull off a medal.
Yeah, and actually, I still give him a hard time because he was in the 3200 as well, and he had a chance to qualify for the state meet in the 3200, but he had already qualified in the 16, and I think it was on the second or third lap, and it was in the dark corner. I'm sitting on one side of I'm like, where's the hat? Did I miss him? Trying to get his splits coming by, seeing where he's at. Did I miss him? I'm standing by his parents. I was like, no, he walked off. So
what?
Yeah, he walked off. So I kind of unloaded on him there and still give him a hard time whenever I see him, because actually I was at his wedding and I was ready to give a wedding speech. Let's see if you follow through on this one. But I didn't do that.
So I got a training question. So you use VDOT, Jack Daniels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
like starting a new program, you got a bunch of new runners this year. How do you even start the VDOT?
It's been difficult, especially in the beginning. A lot of them weren't even going to be registered on any VDOT because they weren't
right.
So a lot of it is, especially, and I kind of did this at Park Vista as well, but I kind of knew those kids a lot more. Is I wanted them to run specific workouts. Like one of my go-to workouts is what we call lane 8s. If you're not sure what that is, it basically forces them to try to do a steady state run on the track, but it's 20 minutes. All right, in lane 8, hence called lane 8s. So you have the starting line for the 400 meters, right? Then you come on back, and then there's the finish line. So what they do is, for 20 minutes, when they pass, they're going the opposite direction. Okay, when they pass the finish line, that's when they got to put themselves in a race mode. All right, try to do your race pace, or what you deem is as close to your race pace as possible. You do that all the way up to the 400 start. From the 400 to the finish line is like your wall. You get to recover. If you need to walk, you walk. If you need to, just a really, really slow jog, hit the finish line, you're back on it again, trying to do that. So I do a lot of stuff like that where it's off of their perceived feel of what their race pace is. I let them determine what their race pace is until we get done with that first race of the season. And then I have here's their 5K time. And now I got a VDOT to kind of work off of. But majority of the time prior, it's your perceived race pace, or your perceived, like what's the one, if they're out on a, because a lot of them have problems with this too. They don't know how to take an easy run easy. They're all racing all the time. I was like, if you can't make a full sentence, you're running too quick. So
RP, like just perceived effort.
Yeah.
Okay. What, what are the challenges of coaching high school? You've got a young family at home.
Did you have hair on that, Mike? Is that what you're pulling off? Where did that hair come from?
I've got, between the dogs, the cat, and probably my ear.
I just saw you pulling hair. I was like, he doesn't have any.
It honestly might have been from when I did a back scratch and then rubbed off a piece.
You used it. Were you using it as like a loofah? I thought I heard scratching earlier. It's been a challenge with that one, especially because she's 17 months now. And
okay, so young.
Yes, so young. So it's been difficult because I'm out the door about 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'm out the door headed to work, and I don't get back until 5:30, 6 o'clock. And she's in bed by 7. So I'm missing quite a bit of time. I get to come back for like, bedtime routine. I don't see her in the morning before I leave. I get to see bedtime routine. That's
and
about
this
it.
is cross country season, which is
Yeah, it's
easier
not
than
even
track.
Yep. So
Track's about to start up, man.
yeah. So I'm trying to make a effort myself to not over committing myself, because I have to be able to offload. I can't be doing all the work and all the stuff for track. I got to use the people that I have around me. You know what I mean? And I have a hard time doing that because sometimes I feel like it's not getting done right unless I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Which is hard. But trying to designate, okay, you're taking care of this, you're taking care of that. And if I got to check out, I got to check out. I got to get home. I got to leave at 5:30 or 5. But it's going to be a challenge, and
I'm sure your assistants will be more than happy to help, and you put your trust in them.
What's that?
I find that I bet your assistants will be grateful that you put your trust in them.
Oh
To
yeah,
actually validate that they are capable of doing the work that you're asking them to do, instead of saying that you're a dumbass. I don't trust you. Get out of my way. Let me do it.
I never say that to them, or at least not in their face.
To
But
them,
Behind their backs.
They get
100%.
it.
On a podcast where 30 people, right? 40, 20, 10.
Oh, come on.
23,
We're
27.
the fastest growing and biggest podcast named Briggity Brobobs
All
out
right,
there.
bro.
Yeah. Do you have any pet peeves with, do you have any terrible parents that you have to deal with? What's a really tough parent that you what's a characteristic or something parents do that they don't even recognize that makes it super difficult to be a coach on a high school team?
Oh boy. That's a great question, because there's a few of them. I think one big one, and I've had some that have been a little overbearing, or having like I usually do like a weekly email blast to all my parents of like, here's what's coming up for the week. And there was one year I had a parent, I do it every Monday. That's what I do. And I set up, all right, here's the meets this week. Here's what we got, blah, blah, blah. And I send it out. And without missing a beat, this guy would send an email back asking a question where it's like, just look above, bud. Like I put together this whole thing. Just take a second to read it. That was one, but that I can deal with because it's just, a quick, easy response. The one that I have a hard time with is where the parents start setting way too big expectations for a kid. So they apply more pressure that a kid's already feeling pressure anyways. And yeah.
Oh.
But do you know what I mean? Let them enjoy it. Don't get they had a great race. They're they did a good job their freshman year, or they did a good job their sophomore year. That doesn't guarantee that, they're getting a scholarship and this is what we're doing. We're gonna get a private coach. It's like, no, not you're gonna burn them out. You're gonna put all this unwanted and unneeded stress on them, and you're taking away from the fun of it. The community is the fun of it. A big problem we have down here is people trying to just snatch up kids and put them on AAU, because they will take anybody. Why? Because you're going to write them a check to be on their team, and they're going to tell you everything they want you to hear. But that's probably the big one, is the parent that puts over expectations on their kid for having one good season where it was okay, but you know what? Let them enjoy it.
So I've got two questions off of that really intrigue me. One, do you ever actually see kids perform better when you put pressure on them? So pressure, this week you've got to be running, for the boys. If you don't run 15:30, you're not making it out of, districts, or, this is the week, I personally think I don't even think it's an opinion. So, but when you put a time pressure on somebody,
that's the worst.
I've never seen it really work out. So you might find the one anomaly that they were probably going to beat that time by 20 seconds. So, but it's the kid that is struggling to get those times, or it's like a big leap goal for them, and they just crumble under the pressure. So if it's a 1600, the first lap they're 2 seconds off, and they go, holy shit, how am I going to make this up in cross country? You come across, you get that first split, and candidly, 2 seconds, whether it's cross country or a 1600, all of that's made up. Well, you can make that up in the back end of the race. And is 2 seconds really that big of a perceived effort difference?
No. I hate listening to my kids talk about what times they ran, because I can't stand, especially in cross country. It's like, that's arbitrary.
It's irrelevant.
It's what course they ran on. It's completely different. What the day was, it could have been raining, windy, whatever the case may be. So I always try to push them in, just, if you compete, the times will be there. You'll get your times as long as you're competing. You're not putting yourself in this box. Kind of going back to what we said, like, here's the order we're all supposed to be in. So, I actually made mistakes early on in coaching of trying to do something like that, where I set time standards, if you will, or, all right, on this lap, we got to be, I don't know, let's just say for the 1600 going through, we want to be at 2:30 if you want to get to your goal. So now you're in that trap. And I've made mistakes like that. And I learned very quickly that, all right, they came through. They came through 2:25. So they slowed down. Yeah, I put them in a box. I didn't give them an opportunity to, let them fly, let them be who they are. You know what I mean? Like, they're at 2:25.
Peacock, baby, you got to let me fly.
Let me go. Exactly. So that I don't like doing that. I like to just get them competing as much as possible, and not, because I can't think of one where it's ever worked out that, as long as you're here. And like, some of my kids get pissed at me during track, especially, because that's the big one, because you're just seeing them. You're coming through the 400. What's my time? I'm like, oh, just keep on going.
Yeah. Yeah. Ignorance is bliss sometimes. Second question that I've got for you related to that, you brought up, like parents putting pressure on the kids. And as soon as they show a glimpse of talent, they think, well, like, this is the meal ticket. Like, how do we get them to the next level? And, like, Coach Barry's not getting him there. Yeah. So, like, have you seen a lot in Florida, like these online coaching groups? Like, there's the really big one. I think it's Run CCG. Like, I think they're just a marketing company. But, like, we've got some kids in this area that are pretty damn good, like both on a state level and a national level, that then get online coaching while running for the high school.
Yeah, I hate that. I dealt with that this year, but it was from Park Vista, previous kids, because of the way I was coaching them over there and what came in. And they didn't think that what came in was doing them justice. It wasn't preparing them like they were normally getting prepared for, or what they felt they were. And I try to just tell them, because I didn't want to step on toes or anything. I was like, just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong. But
so I believe that 100%. So one, there's no one way to train. So, and two, this is all an experiment. So, like, just because you do workouts doesn't guarantee any level of success. And so, like, what good coaching is you throw a particular stimulus at the kids, you find out what reacts. If it's working, if it's moving in the right direction, you can apply some more of the stimulus. And if it's not working, you've got to even give the stimulus some time to understand if it's actually, like, 1 week of a stimulus isn't going to bear any results.
No, you're not getting, it's not instantaneous. But this young man, he reached out to me about it, and he wanted to know if it was one against the rules. And I thought, I said, you need to talk to his current coach there about it. And I ended up talking to her about this, but he was getting information and workouts and such from a collegiate runner at USF. And he was the collegiate runner was, and I don't know if that is kind of similar as to what's going on in what you were talking about, but he was getting his workouts from his collegiate runner, and he was paying the collegiate runner for the workouts. And I talked to the coach, and I'm like, I just wanted to let you know, you reached out to me and this is what's going on. He's like, oh yeah, I looked into it. It's okay. In my mind, I'm like, nah, that ain't going to fly. You're not a part of the team then. You're not doing what the team's doing. You're gone. So it kind of disappointed me that he did that, especially being a captain of the team. But that goes on down here for sure. I did have one of the parents from Park Vista approach me and say, do you do private coaching? I want to hire you because what's going on is, and I'm like, no, I'm not stepping on toes. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong. And I could have got some money.
What would you do if that came to your school? So some kid you find it, like, would you move them off the team?
Yeah, they're gone. Absolutely.
Wow.
They have a choice. You either, if it's an off training, like off season, like we're quickly coming to the off season, and you do something like that during your off season, fine. During season, I'm the coach. This is my team. This is your team. If you're not in with it, you're out.
Yeah, it takes away from the culture. Like if you have their thing and you're not really interacting with them, but they're a part of the team, but everybody else is over here doing that. I mean, it already segments everybody off. Anyway.
100%. It's all. That's what I think. Like you were saying, the stimulus, the workouts, those are all very, very good things. But these kids, I feel, excel in competing when they feel united with the group, when they are all running and kind of struggling for each other. Do you know what I mean?
So let me throw out a hypothetical to both of you. Both of you are involved with high school athletics.
Dan, wait, hold on. What events do you coach, Dan? Like as the head coach, what events are you primarily in charge of?
Whatever's open. It depends because it's been a hard time keeping assistant coaches around just because of the pay for one, the time constraint. And then when the time practice we practice at 3 to 5:30 for people that are 9 to 5ers, they can't come out there, and give that time. And then, how track meets can go a pretty good amount of time. So it's then still time constraint. So depending on what assistants I get in and where they feel comfortable, then I kind of go off to what needs assistance, whether it's throws, jumps, which I hate. I'm not very good at a jumps coach. Throws, I've learned a lot, but jumps not so much. And pole vault is the absolute worst. I can't stand pole vault. I have no talking to those kids about the flex and this. I'm like, bro, I got nothing. I got nothing for you.
So I think that segues almost exactly into my next question. So there's bad coaches out there. And, so is it fair to a kid with a bad coach, even if it's pointed at yourself? Like, so growing up in the disciplines that we did, we know nothing about pole vault.
Yeah.
Like those guys, I never even saw a person at pole vaulting at practice. They were so far off the moon from where we were. So
they weren't practicing. They were laying on the mat. Let's be honest.
That's right. So, but is it fair to those kids to get bad coaching if they could go out and source good coaching?
Okay. No, I see. That's a very good question. So with that aspect, I've had kids go to a specialist for pole vault. The caveat to that, though, is it doesn't pull away from our practice time. If they do it on the weekends, which many of them do, because where a lot of them would end up going is in like the Orlando area, pole vault city, which is up there. Now there's a new one that just opened up down in Miramar. But as long as it's not taken away from our practice time in that regards.
If it's something you can't offer, right? Like let's say like you have nobody who can truly coach. Yeah. Then I would say, yes, if you were a pole vaulter and we have nobody to coach you in pole vault, by all means, let's get you a coach, however we have to do it, and you can go and do it that way.
Yeah.
But if it's something that we're offering and that even if you don't like me as a coach, I'm still coaching you, then no, like you're part of the team, or you can choose not to be, and then you can do it on your own anyway. So,
but it is a difficult thing because you're not in it for the money. You're not in it you want to see the kid excel and you want to give them the best opportunity. But again, it's all about the camaraderie and being involved with the team as well. So, and Jeremy, I'd like to hear what you guys have for us here. We have 4 stipends, 4 paid coaches for track and field. So that's a boys, girls head coach, boys, girls assistant. That there's a lot more events than just 4 in track and field. So you're not getting like all those areas covered. So
absolutely.
What started building at Park Vista is, all right, I coached up the, let's just say hurdlers. All right, now these guys are juniors and seniors. I'll go over there and rotate around and get to a couple drills. But now those juniors and seniors become the coach. They start taking those younger kids underneath their wing and coaching them up, taking that ownership, which I think has really helped them out as people as well, because then they're learning, life skills with that regards. So that's just one way that we've done it there. Just in, like I said, I'll rotate around to different spots, but after coaching an area, then the kids become their best coach. You know what I mean? I don't know how many you get, Germ. Like, how many coaches do you guys have?
We get as many as we can get. Like our team is a mess.
Yeah.
So I'm a head running coach. I'm the head running coach. We have another guy who's like the head coach, but he's primarily over the field events.
Okay.
So I hardly ever see the guy. He takes like half the team and he goes away and they do whatever they do
In a different spot. Yeah.
And then I have none of us get a stipend, so all of us are doing it on our own time. Like we don't get paid extra for doing what we're doing. So then I have a coach who comes out to do distance, and then I'm essentially in charge of everybody else. So there's really only, and then I have like a lady who doesn't really want to be there, and she lets it known that she doesn't want to be there. So I just let her do what she wants to do.
And she's not getting paid. Maybe she just likes to go and.
She's not getting paid, but it's one of our duties.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So she goes out, and I'm like, dude, just go away. Like, I'd rather you not even be here.
Yeah,
I tell her,
don't bring that negativity around here.
No, when we send the kids to the weight room, I'm like, you go with them. You go with them and let the strength coach do what they have to do, and then you just sit there.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. But like we have to rotate. Like we just have to. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough to find people who are like experts. I coach sprints and I coach the hurdles and I do what I can with all that stuff, but I'm no expert in either of those. I never competed in them. Right. Yeah. Like to have, like, I've done a lot of research on how to start out of blocks, but can I truly tell them, okay, this is what it should feel like, because I've never done it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's one of those things that we're continually
early on. I was put in, helping the sprinters out with the starts, and I was like, all right. So, and I looked it up and I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a go. That did not work out too well.
No.
It was actually very embarrassing. And, well, let's just say my face didn't like it. I didn't explode near hard enough as I went boom and right down.
But I've got the kids who have done like the AAU stuff.
So I got up and I brought you guys like, see what I did there? You got to
don't do that.
Let's do better.
Yeah. Dude.
But I have a bunch of kids who are good at starts help with that. So I'm like, okay, like you guys, let's show them what it should look like. Like tell them what it feels like when you're doing this, like this portion of the start, so that they can put it into words a lot better than I can. And I'm just there to kind of like mentor, like to like watch over and do. I can give feedback, especially when I see the kids pop up soon and all that stuff. I can do all that, but as far as telling them what it should feel like, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, maybe like the best way to fix it. You don't, but you're doing the best you can, because like you just said, you're involved in it. You're looking things up, you're researching, and so trying to do the best you can without really ever being the best at that area.
I do plan on going and getting at least the first level of certification for sprint coach, so I can be a lot more capable than I am right now.
Yeah,
I'll get over the summertime and get that wrapped up. So
yeah, I've had a this is when I was a assistant at Park Vista. We had a kid go through there who ended up running for Howard. He was a 400, 800 kid. he's where is he at now? He's training out in California, and he's like the guide runner for an Olympic 400 blind guy.
Oh,
So
wow.
he's the guide runner for him, and he trains out there. But he comes back, and he's come back to Park Vista a couple times just to come out to the track. One, to do his workouts, and two, to kind of have him talk to the kids about it. And he said one of the great things, like, and I think it's definitely, kind of hits home for them, is like he gave him the whole spiel, talked to him about work and this, that, and the other. And then he said, who's the most important coach out here? And a lot of them said, oh, Coach Barry, blah, 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 because head coach. He goes, nah, you're the most important coach. You're your most important coach, because you know what? They can kind of put something out there, but if you're not going to do anything with it, it doesn't matter. So you're the most important coach. So that's what I think it is in a lot with track and field, especially when you don't have the numbers that are out there to help each individual as much as you probably would like. They got to find ways to help themselves.
Yep.
I love it. Dan, I know you got an early morning.
Yeah, early morning. And to be honest, I'm trying to make it earlier so I can get my butt up and going and getting a run in before work. But boy, that snooze button is nice.
It is, but once you get into a rhythm, Dan Barry.
Yeah, but that rhythm is
trash.
super hard to get into.
You're
trash.
You're trash.
It's super hard to get into that rhythm.
But once you get into it.
All right, Jerm, what rhythm are you in? What rhythm are you in?
The non-running rhythm right now.
Feel the rhythm.
No, I'm running after school because I'm not. I'm running after school right now because I'm not coaching.
The peanut butter cup rhythm.
Yeah, peanut butter.
Dude, I've been dad taxing Elliot's candy like it's my job.
Oh,
he came in today. He's like, "Where'd all my candy go?" I was like,
"Well,
half of it's gone now."
Well, we found out there's not that many kids that trick or treat around here, so you know where that's going. That's my treat in the lunch pail every afternoon. Ooh, look at this! What did Amy pack me today?
Well, look, we're just gonna find a better neighborhood though, because it gets legit, man.
Yeah.
What we'd love. So Jeremy and I are. Jeremy, is it agreed upon we're not racing the 10K?
We're just
gonna run it.
That's right.
All right. So I was going to ask you where you guys are at in this voyage that you started, but what happens? You gotta change sometimes. You gotta alternate.
Adapt.
Adapt and overcome, or
That's
just
right.
adapt. You don't have to overcome anything because it doesn't matter. But
my niece.
Marathon, my 39 seconds is still like 39 seconds.
That's
it's not
right.
going to change because
That's
of the 10K.
right.
Yeah.
So
with the 5K, that was from the 5K, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dan,
that was one hopper coming through here.
That's right. Yeah. Well, look, the knee surgery. Look, I'm still wounded from this thing. So doing physical therapy, I'm kicking ass because I'm pretty tough. But the rock and roll half marathon in Washington D.C., Dan, if you want to participate, that's like middle of March. Jeremy, am I right in that?
Yeah, middle March.
And then we got a marathon.
Have already signed up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already signed up.
And then we signed up for the Grandma's Marathon if you want to come and hang out and do it.
Most certainly do it. It's not during the school year. It's after the school.
That is
Middle
not
of summer.
during the school year. That is not during the school year. Funny thing about the Grandmas, I did sign up for it. I think it was the year after Bradford here went out and crushed it. And I was like, dude, if he can do that, I can smoke that course. I never did anything.
Give me my super shoes. Give me my super shoes.
I even paid a little extra and had him deliver a nice jacket, the Grandma's jacket.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I never did anything else after that.
I never did Grandma's either, although I signed up.
Yeah, so
we got the jackets too, Jeremy.
We do have the jackets.
We're donating a bunch of money to them. Hey, thanks for keep putting this on.
That's how they make their money. They have a
bunch of idiots.
What percentage do you think the races have of no-shows?
10 to 15%.
Yep, there you go. So those are the numbers I was going to go for.
They don't have to worry about that. They're getting like free money.
Yeah,
but they procured the jackets. They had to send out the jackets. Like there's an actual cost involved.
They were probably even donated. So the extra money from Jack.
They were donated by the other idiots that bought them and said,
That's
I'm
right.
not going to need this, and
Yeah.
returned it.
This says 1997 grandmas. I signed up for 2022.
No, they're smarter than that. That's why they stopped putting the years on it.
Yeah.
Although
Dan's Berry.
although the colors on there are pretty representative of the
They're-
80s.
The grandma's colors are awful. It's browns and yellows
Oh my
every year.
God. It's
So
like
ugly.
it's like being a Cleveland Brown fan. It's terrible. Oh,
It's like what? Whoa, Jesus! Are you at a speedway?
coming at you hot around
Coming in hot.
here.
Jeez. Are you choking on his exhaust? Well, Dan, this was a lot of fun tonight. I'd love to do it again as your time allows. I think
yes, absolutely. I loved it.
We could have talked for another hour about bullshit, racing, flats, super shoes, world records, doping, all the good hot buttons. We'll bring you back on. Dan, I know
Absolutely
I speak for
pleasure.
me and Jeremy. I'm proud of what you're doing down there, bud.
Yeah, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. It's been a fun journey listening from episode 1 to where you are now. And I'd love to be back on.
Jeremy, let's sign it off. You know what, Dan? You know what, Jeremy? I love you guys.
What? I
Love you guys.
too. Yeah, I love you, bro.
Love you, bro. Hey, bro.
So good.
All right, dipshit and dipshit too. I'll catch you all later.
Things are going so good too. See ya.
Oh, jeez, he's gone.
Yeah.
See you, buddy.